Welcome, everybody. Applause. Thank you. Now, much better. We have 10 minutes to change the face of banking industry, or at least to explain how does the change look from a C-suite somewhere up on the highest floor. So we have many trends that are being discussed all over the world, and of course, Impact is about discussing trends as well. So we don't have to name them, at least not the general ones. Which trends of those that surround us in the modern times are going to influence the banking landscape most?
Okay.
Which are the ones you're most afraid of as an incumbent?
Good afternoon, everybody. So before I start to speak about the trends, or instead of that, I will say one thing. Maybe some of our young colleagues are really curious about why the hell so mature, old-fashioned banker is in this conference. But me and my colleagues are here because we need fintechs and startup. So that's the right answer. We had this morning a very interesting roundtable about the fintechs, and one of my colleagues said that, majority of startups won't survive. They need help, support from the big banks and financial institutions. So they need us more than we need them. I think differently. I think that to survive, I mean the banks to survive, they need the startups and especially fintechs. So that's, if you ask me about the main trend, of course there are some trends currently on the market which are obvious for the financial institution. I can name them consolidation in the bank industry, which will follow, and the whole technological changes, especially the fintechs, but not only fintechs, also the big area of big data and data analytics, which is my favorite one at the moment. And also, we have to mention the demography, because this is about the customers, how they behave in the future. And I think the regulation is not something which we have avoided completely, because it will have some impact on us. It was also this morning discussed deeply.
Sure. So many different things you mentioned, but let me come back for a moment to startups. Many of them are your potential disruptors, if not competitors. So helping them, in a way, you're digging your own grave, maybe, for your traditional business model, at least.
Okay, I tried to organize a little bit my response to that, and okay, looking at the banking activity in, so let's say three main areas: it's payments, savings and investments, and simply lending, generally savings and lendings. So okay, if we take a payments, definitely this is the area when the fintechs are already there. Are our main competitors, both the big giants and also the very small startups which have emerged recently. So starting from TransferWise and others, PayPal, which are the giant today, but also Square. And if we look at the payment area, so we have to compete, we have to cooperate, but definitely it's no more the area which is limited to the banks. This is the big area of competition today. I think it is because of, not they are much smarter than us, simply technology enables today them to transfer money, small amount of money. It was easier for them to build the trust of customer, because we have also to say about the trust, which is important part of banking business. So technology enables them to create the trust and to catch the customer. So this is the one area. Second is, and it's so-called red ocean today. Investments and savings, investment advisory, I don't think so that they really take over the big part of our pie. Maybe some, yes, but I can't see the reasons for which the banks won't use the robo-advisor, eToro, and others, this kind of advisors in their activity. It's a question of how to cooperate and internalize these algorithms and advisories. So this is the question of skills and competences, sure, regardless who have it, in my opinion.
So I understand your view on the future of banking sector is actually acquiring technology, sometimes maybe even through acquiring companies that build the technology, and then applying it to traditional business model. And you will just be ready to let go the traditional clerks that we talk to when we want to take money take a loan. And there will be some kind of automated process that will process me as a lender, as a borrower, and this is, so nothing will really change, but the back office will be completely different.
No, I don't want to say that. It's not possible to keep up with the old business model because the technology already has changed it and disrupt the model. So something which is accessible for few time ago, now it's accessible for many. So this is the main change. And I don't want to say that it's simply the solution to how to compete or with the new entrants on the market. It's only to take them over. Although, in my case, rather in the case of our group, the BNP Paribas has bought recently, 2 months ago, the biggest financial startup in France, so Comte Nickel. But it's only one way. The second way we have to change internally. I mean, to internalize the technology, but also change the culture and mentality, which is, I think, the biggest challenge. Because even in our industry, I can see, because I worked in many banks, I can see the differences in the culture and approach to adapting the new technology in the other banks I worked for, and today when I work where I work today. So it's a big challenge.
You know, building on media experience, and this is where I come from. Obviously, my guess would be that there is a significant risk that technological giants, who anyhow have billions of users, will try to replace banking sector, the traditional banking companies, or if not replace, at least reduce them to some very professional niches. But in terms of, you know, consumer banking, somebody else will be servicing me, okay, the consumer.
My point of view on that is that learning, they take a lesson learned from history. We already could see this kind of cases, like General Electric once decided to set up its financial branch across the world. And okay, they were quite successful in part of that, especially consumer finance, until the big crisis came. And then they decided after that to close. Why? Because simply where the time where we have a growing time, everybody can do almost everything. But when the real tough time comes, you have to focus on what you do the best, in the best way. So that's why GE decided to close the financial part. And that's why I am not afraid of this kind of giants like Google, Facebook, or Apple. They are able already, and they were able a few years ago, from the financial point of view, to fulfill regulatory requirements, to buy competence on the market, and to set up a banks, or at least the main financial core activity of the banks. But they didn't do that because they earn money on something else.
All right. So I got your point, and it's a good point, I must say. It's very convincing. What is this? Can we elaborate a little bit on this latest acquirement that BNP Paribas Group made in France? Because maybe that would give us a hint also what you think when you think in your C-suite.
But it's not the behaviors only of our groups. Yes, the group bought the faster developed banking startup called Content Nickel, which was able to open the current accounts for customers and so on. I don't know the details, yes. Apart from that, it cost investment 200 million euro, but it was official information.
Quite an investment as for a startup.
So, and maybe I would, there are many examples on also on the Polish market, because the PKO BP, our competitors, they bought recently some startups. We have the funds from mBank currently, sorry, I got used to the old name when I was there. So they also try to do it, but let me maybe stress two elements which I think are the most important in terms of trends for the future for us as a banks. As I mentioned, in payment, the landscape is that we simply have to get used to that we have a big competitors in different areas. And we not only be hegemon in the area, we have to simply compete and try to survive. The second big trend which will have, in my opinion, the biggest impact on the future is the big data and data analytics. But not only in that sense, we know from the past that, okay, we can evaluate the credit worthiness of the customer and give them better credit, but in that sense that the whole paradigm has changed, in my opinion, and now, before the customer expected us to keep their data protected, safe, and not to release too much. But
True.
Today, the situation is differently, especially the younger part of population. They entrust their data to us, but they are expecting that we will work on the data and analyze them in order to deliver the added value, to monetize the data for them. Sure. Means prepare the individualized offer, customized. So they simply agree, give the consent to use their data in a proper way, but instead of that, they expect us to deliver better service, starting from user experience, through prices, I don't know, in terms of lending, the installment and so on, ending, so everything. So this is a big topic, because this changed the paradigm completely in banking, and also we have to remember that it's not only the data which we stored in our data mart in banking, although there is a huge data mart in every bank, of course, but we can match the data from our data mart with external one, and it gives even better propensity in terms of preparing the good, proper services.
So you would look at groups of consumers and match them having particular amounts of disposable income, for example, with particular groups of consumers, I don't know, buying things in store, and then you would build stories on how those groups would actually act.
Yeah. First of all, we have to be open, which we haven't been in the past. And my favorite example is BBVA, the Spain bank, which already before the PSD2 forced us to open our sources to the API for the other providers, they already did it. And okay, today they did it in a way that they do it in a way that they provide other entrants with especially services of BBVA, but they also exposed already the data of customers, of course on the aggregation level, because they don't have a consent to
so
release
you can
the data.
see individual.
Yes,
with
but
this.
they give some information about the group of customers, breaking down by geography, maybe income or something. So this is what they are going to do in order to be a part of this new environment.
Right.
When first you can build added value on the data, and second you have to be as a part of this environment with your services. So that's my example, which I think is very useful.
It's also a good one. Wrapping it up, we have 20 seconds. I understand that in your view, banks will stay where they are and will more or less do what they do. the battleground, if I may say so, is the technology and what it will be used for. The interesting thing for me is it going to be mobile, for example? Because it seems that, you know, the internet is moving towards mobile from desktop. So is it about, so the nearest frontier, nearest battleground, is it going to be?
I can imagine it might be today something else, mobile, and then maybe wearables or other things. But when we look at the, not millennials, but even the Z generation, they simply don't know the world without mobile smartphones. So I can imagine that they will live. We live in the hybrid reality because everybody has this Facebook Messenger and so on. But I think they will live even more in the virtual reality with their mobiles than us. So it's definitely the direction.
Will we get applause for our... We got!
Thank you.
It was a good one. Thank you so much.